Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Louise, and today I'm definitely going to have a bit of a rant, so do bear with me. But I am so fed up of this current part we have going in society where everybody expects everybody to tiptoe around their personal blockages, insecurities, sensitivities, and thinks that everybody else is it's actually, and these people, you will always find that they really promote themselves as super kind. All over their profile will be like, I'm really kind, I'm all about kindness, I promote kindness. And it's always the number one giveaway that that person is actually not really that kind, in my opinion. If you're actually really kind, you generally don't advertise it all over your Facebook. When you really are something, you don't need to put on a massive show to tell somebody that's what you are. It's like the word goddess makes me laugh when everybody self-proclaims themselves as a goddess. A goddess is an energy, it's an energetic vibration that people will just feel. They will sense your energy and they will be like, you're a goddess. And somebody might feel someone's a goddess and someone doesn't, but it's a title that's sort of given to you and felt. It's not a self-proclaimed title. Once you start writing I'm a goddess in your about bio, you're probably not. Because if you really are inherently something and you are secure, you don't need to go and advertise that that's what you are outside in the world. So anybody going on and on and on about how kind they are, generally I don't find them very kind is the long and short of it. But this whole kindness movement at the moment is really a form of bullying, in my opinion, because it's like, well, I think it's kindness if people don't make jokes, right? I don't like offensive jokes. So it came up a little bit because I don't want to talk about the specific issue because I don't really read the papers, so I don't know enough, because there might be additional things to jokes. So I don't want to kind of go and put something out there that's just inaccurate because I haven't researched the story with the MasterChef guy that made a lot of rude jokes. But it brought up, and it sometimes the news brings up things that you then want to talk about, right? And it brought up discussions on Facebook. But people now think it's kind for nobody else in the world to say a joke that they might find offensive or might be sensitive to. Their form of kindness is essentially bullying everybody else into silence, so that they cannot be triggered or offended in any way. And that is how they view kindness. I don't think that's very kind, do you? And a lot of these people, the way they come at you is very aggressive. I actually saw somebody, I don't know if it's joking or not, say, because it was a guy that said, oh, all he said is a few jokes. And one of the responses was, there's no room in the world for people like you anymore. And I thought, we want kindness now or something. How unkind is that? That someone has a different sense of humor to you, so they should be eradicated from the face of the planet. And that is how a lot of these so-called kind people think, that because your version of kindness is different to their version of kindness, you should be eradicated. That's pretty much how they think, and you shouldn't be allowed to exist or earn a living or make money or do anything to contribute to society, because your idea of kindness is a little bit different to theirs. So yeah, I just wanted to come on and have a little bit of a rant about that, because at the core of this is this refusal. And what got me even more about this particular conversation thread is there was some spiritual people in there too, because it was a spiritual guy that made the post. So then, of course, you get the spiritual pylon of, well, it's not very spiritual, is it, to make a mean joke? And you know what I think's not very spiritual? I'm getting blunt and I'm getting hard here because I'm getting sick of it. I'm getting sick of told that I as a fellow woman can't be not offended by something someone else is offended by. Where's my free rights? But you know what's not spiritual is going around and expecting everybody else to work around you so that you don't get triggered or none of your trauma gets like activated. Like, sure, if you're in a small, tight friendship group, you can kind of do these things for each other, right? Because you know one another well, and you might know something's happened to one of your close friends, and you can, you know, try and work around that a little bit. But going out into the wide world of society and expecting everybody to tiptoe around your personal sensitivities, there's nothing spiritual about that, in my opinion. And if you go and read any spiritual text, ancient spiritual text, or any spiritual master from the past, I don't know about now because I'm sure they've crept into current text, but if you go and read any true spiritual master text from the past, I will give you a cookie if you can find where it says, to evolve and enlighten spiritually, please go around and tell everybody else how to behave and what to say. You will not find that anywhere. It will all be like, how to evolve, you must work through blah 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 blah. And what we have is a whole group of people, a whole sort of generation of people that don't want to do any self-responsibility or self-work. Like, if something triggers you and upsets you, or a joke offends you, I'm not saying when it goes further than that, but if it's just a joke, then it's on you to unravel that and unwind that. Be like, why am I so offended by that? Why am I so offended by that? What in me is being offended? And that's your job. It actually really reminds me a bit of a personal story here. So a guy that I broke up with a long time ago, like one of my first ever kind of boyfriends or whatever, he came back into my life like much later, a few years ago now. Not like, I was never interested romantically, but he came back into my life sort of as a friend and was like, oh, I can see you're on a spiritual path. Like, I've been thinking a bit spiritually lately, you know, can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I recommended The Power of Now to him. And I love The Power of Now for guys, because I just think the way guys think works better with The Power of Now, because guys are quite logical. And I just think, I don't know, I always just think it's a great book for guys to get started. Maybe that and Conversations with God. I think women can delve quicker into things like Celestine prophecy. And but I gave him the title, you know, of The Power of Now. I said, you know, read that. And then he went away. And because we'd had this conversation, I'd shared a lot of personal things about me as well, you know, and things that had triggered me, or things that I'd processed and I'd worked through, you know, to try and sort of share the supportive story. And this guy came back, having read The Power of Now, and started using it to tell me like, oh, well, you should stop doing that because The Power of Now says that. I never once heard him like reflect it onto himself. The entire book seemed to have been used to tell me how I should engage with him. And I was like, you go through that book for me, you go through The Power of Now for me, and find where it says to go and tell somebody else how to behave and speak, and then come back to me. And that's how I feel with all these people. You know, you find they're all shouting spirituality, you know, oh, it's not very spiritual to make a rude joke and to be really unkind. But you find me any spiritual text, like any spiritual text, proper ancient spiritual text that says that the path to enlightenment is going around and telling everybody else what to say and what to speak and how to speak and what they can and can't find offensive. I really doubt you'll find it, because the spiritual journey is about self-mastery. Sure, obviously we're humans, like we interact with one another, we have relationships with one another, right? That is going to happen. But to actively think that your entire awakening is about not actually healing those triggers and the things that are upsetting you, but telling everybody else that they have to shut up, so that just to make sure that you don't get offended. To me, that's not spiritual in any way, shape or form. It's no part of the spiritual journey have I really seen that be lauded as something that we should be doing. And yeah, quite frankly, I think it's very unkind. Kindness actually is a really interesting topic. I was talking to my friend about kindness, and I think very few of us are actually kind. Very few of us are kind, and we're very rarely kind. Like, a lot of the times when I might say in my past, like, oh, I was overgiving, or I was kind, I wasn't really actually being kind. I actually was feeling unworthy. So I felt like I had to overgive in order to be worth more. Or I felt like if I did a bit more, that person might love me more or respect me more. Actually, kindness is something that I think takes a really, 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 really long time, or a lot of work, self-work, to even see and be able to see from the bird's eye view whether you are actually being kind. Because being kind is having, so this is all my opinion, right? But in my opinion, kindness is having absolutely no agenda. None. You do something not for yourself, with absolutely no agenda. And actually, the more you unpick and you're honest with yourself, the more that you can see a lot of what you do has an agenda. It might be that it makes you feel good, or it makes you think someone's gonna, and this is why nearly all the time there's some kind of agenda with it. And this is why a lot of people get very, very resentful that are overgivers. I don't know if you ever see in relationships, it's something where I'm always like, I cannot be this person that just nags, that cooks a meal for 8 hours that the person didn't even necessarily really want. And then I get really, really, really frustrated because they didn't really want it in the first place. You see this a lot of overgiving, overworking, hoping to feel something back, whether it's love, respect, and then when it doesn't come, they get really, really, really feeling disrespected, and they feel resentful. So if you feel any form of resentfulness, if you don't get it back, or any form of sort of anger or upset, then you weren't really being kind at all. You were just trying to fill your own cup, which is most of us, right? How I think to actually be purely kind really, really takes a lot of work. And it takes a process of being a bit selfish first as well, so you can actually feel what's genuine and what's not. But I've got a bit off tangent there with the kindness, but yeah, I'm throwing a few things into the video. But yeah, just a little bit of a rant about that, because it does really do my head in when people use spirituality to try and jump onto this woke agenda of silencing everybody else that they don't like, as if it's kind. It's honestly tantamount to bullying, in my opinion. To try and shut everybody down who you don't like and you don't agree with. It's not kind. It's definitely not kind. And it is, yeah, borderline bullying and vitriol a lot of the time. But anyway, that is my video for today. I just wanted to come on and have a little bit of a rant. I hope everyone's good. Bye-bye.